Shake it out. You guys ready? All right. Here we go. Good evening. I would like to officially welcome those joining us from across the country and around the globe to the Coast Guard Academy's Class of 2024 Billet Night. A special welcome to all the members of the Class of 1974, members of the link in the chain, continuing the long blue line. I am Captain Jessica Razioks, and I'm the 30th Commanding Officer of America's Tall Ship, the Coast Guard Bark Eagle. Thank you to the Coast Guard Academy Alumni Association, most notably the Class of 1995, for their generous support of this evening's events. It is now my honor to introduce Rear Admiral Johnston, the 43rd Superintendent of the Coast Guard Academy. During the Class of 1990's Billet Night, First Class Cadet Johnston received orders to the Coast Guard cutter Cowslip, home-ported in Portsmouth, Virginia. He has since served with distinction for over 34 years, and he has held many positions of great responsibility, including aide to the Commandant during the transformation from the Department of Transportation to the Department of Homeland Security, Commanding Officer of the Coast Guard's Command, Control, and Communications Engineering Center, Assistant Commandant for Acquisition and Chief Acquisition Officer for the Coast Guard, and most recently, the 9th District Commander, where he was the Senior Coast Guard Commander for the Great Lakes and the St. Lawrence Seaway. Please join me in welcoming your Superintendent, Rear Admiral Johnston.
Thank you, Jess. Esteemed guests, dedicated staffers from Washington, D.C., and our own state delegation, you are in for an unforgettable evening of magic and delight where dreams come true. Maybe. All right. Listen, I'd like to make a special welcome and thank you to Vice Admiral Lunday and Vice Admiral Johnston, who are operational commanders who came all this way and been incredibly supportive throughout my entire time here, and really looking forward to engaging with you all after this event. To the ancient albatross. So back when I was a swab, if you would have told me that you would come to a billet night dressed as a strange bird, I would have said, I can see that. And so welcome, welcome to my classmate, Chris Bart. To all the officers and flag officers, and senior executives here tonight, thank you again for taking the time. And to the link in the chain, as always, your incredible support throughout this class's journey has been incredibly valuable, and we thank you for joining us this evening. To the commanding officers that have come, and I will tell you to the class of 2024, listen, they care about you, because I have done the drive from New Jersey to Connecticut in the middle of the night, and that is not fun. And so they got here at 4 o'clock in the morning and are still here today to see you take your step to this next journey. To Commander Runyon, who flew in from Tokyo after a marathon run and then being on a plane for 19 hours or whatever, she cares. She cares about you. To the Alumni Association and the Parents Association, you all have been amazing, and thank you again for your support. To the faculty and staff who have poured so much into you all, thank you. And to the amazing, the incredible, and the impatient class of 2024, yes. They dared me to take my time. They said, take your time. And but you all know where I live, so I won't. I've been woken up plenty by loud noises. So, but I will just say, as Jess alluded to earlier, there are no bad jobs. Whatever place you go will be a new adventure. And whatever mission you undertake is noble work and important work for the nation. And wherever you go, the people you will work with are some of the best in the world. And there's a pay increase coming. So there's all good stuff. Listen, in just a few months, you'll be out there saving lives, doing drug interdictions, safeguarding our waterways, breaking ice, flying maybe, or on the front lines of the battle in the cyber universe. This is exciting times. And I would ask you to reflect on these moments and savor this time with your shipmates. You are needed in the field. You are ready for the field. And if you give your all like you have done here, like I have seen you do, you will be amazing. And with that, I will say good luck and back to good captain. Let's go.
All right. All right, thank you, Admiral. At this time, I would like to ask Captain Marcial, Command Master Chief Birch, and Lieutenant Commander Detweiler to join Admiral Johnston and I on the stage. 2024, are you ready for your assignments? Okay. Oh. Okay. Now, for our first assignment, First Class Schilling and First Class John Hudson, please join me on stage. The motto of this cutter is ready to act. She was commissioned in May of 1969, 2 months before mankind landed on a manned aircraft on the moon. This cutter was initially home-ported in New London, Connecticut, where she moored in the Thames River at the Coast Guard Academy waterfront. She became the first of her class to earn the Order of the Blue Nose in 1970. You may open your assignments. Took him a while. All right. Now, for our next assignment, First Class Tainen, First Class Moore, First Class Waters, and First Class Coles. Please join me on stage. These cutters are among the newest in the Coast Guard's fleet of multi-mission ships that perform drug and migrant interdiction, ports, waterways, and coastal security, fishery patrols, search and rescue, and national defense. One of these cutters' namesake earned a Silver Star Medal for his contribution overseeing firefighting efforts aboard his vessel during the Guadalcanal landings in World War II. You may open your assignments. Now, for our next assignment, First Class Bornarth, First Class Apalizan, First Class Bagarov, please join me on stage. Both of these units are multi-mission platforms that protect against illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing practices throughout Oceania, in addition to servicing aids throughout their 12.2 million square mile AOR. One of these cutters has been in her current home port since 2020, and the other will be completing a home port shift to this location once her current major maintenance availability is completed. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Lubin, First Class Kasky, First Class Coletta. Please join me on stage. This cutter's official motto is First in the Fleet, as she was the first ship of her class. She was commissioned in June 1964 and will turn 60 years young this June. She was the first Coast Guard cutter equipped with a flight deck and successfully prototyped shipboard helicopter interoperability, marking a new era in Coast Guard operations. During her most recent 56-day patrol to the Eastern Pacific, she interdicted two drug smuggling vessels carrying over 9,000 pounds of illegal narcotics. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Kunka, First Class Willis, First Class Toe, and First Class Rayhauser. Please join me on stage. This cutter was commissioned on August 8, 2015 as the 5th cutter in her class. Her namesake was an American sea captain and the United States Life-Saving Service station keeper who was the recipient of the Gold Life-Saving Medal and has been credited with saving over 600 lives. The unofficial motto of this cutter is "We own the night." You may open your assignments. Congrats. Now for our next assignment, First Class Inman and First Class Galdamez. Please join me on stage. This cutter is the 12th to bear its name, dating back to 1790, when the original was built for the Revenue Cutter Service. She was commissioned on October 3rd, 1964, and will celebrate her 60th birthday later this year. Incoming officers can look forward to patrolling the Caribbean, Eastern Pacific, and Florida Straits. You may open your billets. Now for our next assignment. First Class Quinlan, First Class Johnson, First Class Zach, and First Class Stromer. Please join me on stage. Honoring their motto, the will to serve, courage to protect, one of these cutters interdicted and repatriated over 370 migrants in 2023 alone. One of these cutters got her namesake from a late machinery technician who was awarded the Coast Guard Medal for extraordinary heroism for sacrificing his life while rescuing 2 crew members on board the fishing vessel Sea King on the Columbia River Bar. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Ladine, First Class Cousineau, please join me on stage. This unit was featured on the History Channel television series Modern Marvels. This cutter's motto is forging a path with strength and honor. This cutter is one of a kind and conducts 2 critically important missions in the northern border. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Ortez, First Class Clements, please join me on stage. Hey, congrats, Jeff. This cutter is named after one of the 10 original revenue cutters authorized in 1790. Of these 10 cutters, she was the longest to serve in this role. The name of this cutter comes from a creature in Greek mythology that was an all-seeing giant with over 100 eyes, a fitting name for this cutter's unyielding watch at sea. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Sherman, First Class Verna, First Class Esmond, please join me on stage. The motto of this cutter is a tradition of honor, a legacy of action. This cutter was one of the first units for Operation New Frontier, the Coast Guard's operation to employ armed helicopters and non-lethal use of force to stop go-fast vessels. This cutter's actions contributed to the 100% interdiction rate of Operation New Frontier. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Regan, First Class All, First Class Brian Green, First Class Eagle, First Class Merrick. Please join me on stage. Around the nation, these officers take part in nearly every Coast Guard mission. From assisting with the establishment of crucial aids to navigation, to conducting medical transport for mariners at sea, and even transporting endangered sea animals from coast to coast. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Castell, First Class Hall, First Class He. Please join me on stage. This cutter was commissioned in 1984 as the 3rd cutter in her class. Her official motto is ready, willing, and able. The cutter also has an unofficial motto of the desired effect, which is a reference to the cutter's actions during the Civil War. She was commissioned in 1984 after construction in Tacoma, Washington. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Smith, First Class Tran, First Class Ross, please join me on stage. The motto of this cutter is Measure of Excellence, and still has a working lube oil pump that was originally built in 1962. This cutter was designed for search and rescue and law enforcement missions, including migrant interdiction and counter-drug operations. This cutter was originally homeported in Alaska and spent 17 years in Alaskan waters conducting Coast Guard operations. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Wismar, First Class Golson, First Class Vecchio, First Class George, and First Class Lee. Please join me on stage. These cutters' nicknames are the Main Responder and New England's Workhorse. These cutters provide service to over 315 aids to navigation along the rugged New England coastline and beyond, spanning from New York Harbor to the Canadian border. Both cutters are multi-mission platforms with a capacity to service ATON, conduct ice-breaking operations, engage in pollution response, and execute LE and SAR. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Pagan Selby. Please join me on stage. This cutter is the 7th Coast Guard vessel to bear its name. An interesting fact about this cutter, and she is near and dear to my heart. You may open your assignment. Now for our next assignment. First Class Lovelace, First Class Olsted, First Class Jake Kim, First Class Tana Heigl. Please join me on stage. The AOR for these multi-mission cutters is composed of 156,000 square miles of oceans, bays, rivers, wetlands, and tidal marshes. This area encompasses 6 states, several major mid-Atlantic ports, and the largest naval base in the world and our nation's capital. These cutters hold some impressive namesakes, including a seaman who was awarded a Silver Star for his actions during World War II, a Coast Guard hero who gave his life conducting a maritime intercept. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Carey, First Class Summers, First Class Bertrand, and First Class O'Leary. Please join me on stage. The motto of this cutter is Gallantry in Action, named after the Coast Guard's only Medal of Honor recipient. This cutter was commissioned in 2017 and is homeported with 3 other cutters of its class. On its most recent 2023 patrol to the Western Pacific, this cutter trained with allies and foreign partners through contentious waters and trailblazed new partnerships with countries through at-sea and in-port engagements. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Eunice, First Class Olson, First Class Weeder, First Class Flagar, and First Class Hegbly. Please join me on stage. Officers in this specialty will spend up to 2 years of training before joining the operational fleet. Assignments throughout the country will test your mettle and push the limits of your training. You will be picked to specialize in one of 5 primary platforms. A 6th platform placing you in close contact with Coast Guard and DHS senior leaders. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Sarah Wynn, First Class Little, First Class Flynn, and First Class Nelson. Please join me on stage. Incoming officers can look forward to patrolling these cutters 1.3 million square nautical mile AOR in the Eastern Caribbean with an emphasis on counter-narcotics, migrant interdiction, and search and rescue. One of these cutters was recently selected as the runner-up for the Hopley Yeaton Cutter Excellence Award. Over this past year alone, she intercepted 19 dangerous and overloaded ventures. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Jenkins, First Class McMahon, First Class Pearson, First Class Pavlovich, First Class Soka. Please join me on stage. This cutter holds the motto, energy, efficiency, and courage. This cutter's namesake is Coast Guard Aviator Number 1 and was the first coastie to complete a transatlantic flight. Following her upcoming combat systems ship qualification trials, she will be the fleet's 9th fully certified cutter in her class. You may open your assignments. Congrats. Now for our next assignment, First Class Arnold, First Class Dalmaida. Please join me on stage. Both of these cutters have recently completed or are in the process of completing home port shifts and now claim 2 of the coldest home ports in the Coast Guard. As home, pack your parkas. One of these cutters service aids to navigation in an AOR of over 94,000 square miles. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Wagner, First Class Boykin Holland, First Class Bay, and First Class Stevens. Please join me on stage. This is the only cutter that was built by the aerospace and weapons manufacturer Lockheed Martin, and the only cutter to interact with penguins. As a deck watch officer, this is the only cutter where you will drive from over 120 feet above the waterline. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Atkinson, First Class Joseph Martin, First Class France, and First Class Petrowski. Please join me on stage. This cutter is the first in its class. Her primary missions are counter-drug and migrant interdiction, enforcement of federal fishery laws, and search and rescue throughout the Western Hemisphere. She is named after the steam barkentine who served in America's first law enforcement vessel conducting missions. You may open your assignment. Now for our next assignment, First Class Bielt, First Class Fender, First Class McHugh, and First Class Bridget Darty. Please join me on stage. The motto of one of these units is Ruler of the Sea, and another is known as to the fleet as the Bartender. One of these cutters is the youngest cutter in her class and is also the only one to hold a Pursuit Use of Force certification. In the fall of 2023, she completed a 62-day patrol with an FRC off the coast of Peru. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Ratliff, First Class Frizzell, First Class Bridenthal, First Class Iraula, First Class Henya. Please join me on stage. This cutter's motto is never give up and is named after the first Master Chief Petty Officer of the Coast Guard. She is the newest major cutter in the fleet with commissioning planned for this spring. Your new home port is considered a home port of choice and the future Coast Guard East Coast Operations Center of Gravity. These future officers can enjoy their new home port's incredible cuisine and Southern charm. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Liano Mock, First Class Rogaki, First Class De Los Santos, First Class Allison Osborne, and First Class John Carroll. Please join me on stage. One of these cutters was the first to bear the racing stripe, which has since become synonymous with Coast Guard vessels. This cutter is 55 years young and boasts the motto, courage, honor, and tenacity. Originally residing in Wilmington, North Carolina, this cutter has been home ported in one of only 14 official Coast Guard cities since 1992. But like most her age, she recently opted for a sunny retirement home. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Mary Wynn, First Class DeCoste, First Class Stone, and First Class Torres. Please join me on stage. In reference to her namesake, one of these cutters holds the official motto of intrepid leadership during imminent peril. She is named after a Civil War hero who rescued a total of 147 people during his time in the service and was awarded the Gold Life-Saving Medal. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Anthony Martin, First Class Davis Daughtry, First Class Woodworth, and First Class Lynch Galvin. Please join me on stage. This cutter's official motto is Aztec Shore to Arctic Zone, a nod to our favorite song. She was commissioned in December of 1984 after construction in Tacoma, Washington. She has spent over 100 days in dry dock this past year and is ready for operations. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Schroyer, First Class Guidry, First Class Kelly, First Class Duffy, and First Class McPherson. During one of her most recent patrols, one of these cutters repatriated 70 migrants to Cuba and the Bahamas, saved 2 lives on a search and rescue case, and engaged in several high-speed chases with targets of interest in the Florida Straits. Namesakes for these units include a Petty Officer First Class. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. Congrats. First Class Rivera, First Class Mattingly, First Class Moyer, First Class Tetrault, First Class O'Neill, and First Class Disc. Please join me on stage. This cutter is the 4th in her class and will celebrate 10 years of service this year. Deployments in recent years have taken the ship to the Caribbean, Mediterranean, Black and Baltic Seas, and the Pacific Ocean. Tonight, in fact, her crew is enjoying a port call in Lima, Peru for some rest in a 120-day counter-narcotics deployment. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Chapman, First Class Whalen, and First Class Red. Please join me on stage. This cutter's official motto is Fortune Favors the Bold. This cutter is currently home ported in her 3rd ever home port. She previously called Galveston, Texas, and Miami, Florida, her home. During her last 2 patrols, the crew interdicted over 450 kilograms of cocaine, conducted operations with the Dutch Navy, interdicting an additional 950 kilograms of cocaine, and rescued 56 migrants. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Samuel Carroll, First Class Micah, and First Class O'Brien. Please join me on stage. One of these cutters owns the motto of Protector of the Islands. Her most recent 38-day patrol brought her to 6 different islands in the Pacific region, covering a total of 7,000 nautical miles, while conducting high seas boardings and engaging with shoreside community service projects. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Kukal, First Class Fish, First Class Welker, First Class Braga, First Class Ryan, First Class Posamai, and First Class Skarat. Please join me on stage. This cutter recently won this year's Hopley-Yeaton Cutter Excellence Award, the Lucas Plaque Award for Best in the Fleet for Naval Engineering, and Galley of the Year. This cutter's motto is "Legends Begin Here," and was the first cutter commissioned of her class. Incoming officers can look forward to conducting Eastern Pacific counter-drug patrols. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Wasserman, First Class McGee, First Class Riozzi Bodine, and First Class Ward. Please join me on stage. This cutter's motto is "Thy way is in the sea, thy path in the great waters," which is also engraved on the memorial in Arlington National Cemetery, dedicated to the memory of the 131 crew lost following the sinking of the original cutter. You may open your assignments. Keep going. Now for our next assignment. First Class Herb, First Class Jurgen, please join me on stage. The nicknames of these cutters are Tender of the Tropics and Tender of the Capes. One of these units is responsible for over 180 aids to navigation in an AOR extending from South Carolina to New Jersey. However, in 2023, they also interdicted over 1,400 migrants on a 52-day AMIO patrol. You may open your assignments. So excited for you. Now for our next assignment. First Class Nasty, First Class Furter, First Class Mitchell, please join me on stage. The motto of this cutter is Lifesaver, Defender, Enforcer. This cutter visited 6 countries in Africa in 2022 and inducted 100 crew members into the Order of the Emerald Shellbacks, Commissioned in 1991, she is the youngest cutter of her class and is homeported in a city often referred to as the Conch Republic. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First class Gadsden, first class Bulger, first class Rollings, first class Duffin, first class Churm, first class Lang, first class Feely. Please join me on stage. Officers going to this unit will eventually serve an important role in assisting cutters in the interdiction of go-fast vessels throughout the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific and rescuing mariners in distress. They are an invaluable asset to the fleet in completing the many missions of the Coast Guard. Don't forget your crucial study habits from the Academy because you'll be hitting the books. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First class Young, first class Fulton, first class Nitz, first class Hupp, first class Dreyer, and first class Becker. Please join me on stage. This unit was established in 2013 in response to the growing threat of malware and ransomware to U.S. maritime infrastructure. This unit's mission is guided by 3 lines of effort: defend and operate the enterprise mission platform, protect the MTS, and operate in and through cyberspace. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First class Tipton, first class Anthony, and first class Svanevelt. Please join me on stage. Commissioned in 2000, this remains the Coast Guard's largest cutter, displacing 16,000 tons. She has 7 cranes, the equivalent of 7 buoy tenders, and is the only Coast Guard unit dedicated to supporting at-sea scientific research. Her recent deployment saw her circumnavigate the globe, sailing through the Pacific, Arctic, and Atlantic Oceans. You may open your assignment. Now for our next assignment. First class Parker, first class Ellie Heigl, first class Motherway. Please join me on stage. Commissioned in 1966 and originally homeported in Newcastle, New Hampshire. This nickname of this cutter is Little Tough Guy. This cutter is the 8th vessel to bear its name. The first was one of the original 10 revenue cutters. During its last patrol, this cutter was responsible for the interdiction of 6,000 pounds of cocaine. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Lizardo Moronta. First Class Matamoros Flores. First Class Taha. First Class Austin. First Class Regalado. Please join me on stage. These members will be returning to their home countries, and we have been enriched by their presence here. We wish them the best of luck in all their future endeavors, and we look forward to working with you on the high seas and seeing you at class reunions. You may open your assignments. Congratulations, 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 congratulations. Now for our next assignment. First Class Gliver, First Class DeLillo, First Class Purvis, First Class Humphrey, First Class Palinkas, First Class Figueroa, First Class Vigo, and First Class Flores Bencomo. Please join me on stage. Aptly given the motto, "Heroism under fire," one of these cutters is named after a World War II hero and a Silver Star recipient who rescued stranded crews whose vessels had been destroyed by enemy fire. Two of these cutters are set to commission in 2024 and the first of their class to be home ported in District 13. Another motto for one of these cutters is initiative, courage, and fortitude. You may open your assignments. And now for our next assignment. First Class Carmen, First Class Barbalato, First Class Riccio, and First Class Lau. Please join me on stage. The motto of this cutter is "The Spirit Lives On." She is the 7th cutter commissioned in her class. This cutter was recently home ported, but originally called Boston, Mass. her home. Launched on February 6, 1985, she is named after her predecessor who sank during World War II. You may open your assignments. Congratulations. And now for our next assignment, First Class Richard, First Class Learman, and First Class Brick. Please join me on stage. The motto of one of these cutters is "The First to Serve," and was the first of her class to arrive at this distant home port. She was also the first to exercise the recent bilateral agreement between the U.S. and New Guinea, working with national agencies to enforce fishing laws in their exclusive economic zone. You may open your assignments. And now for our next assignment. First Class Spooner, First Class Earnshaw, First Class Roth, and First Class Guba. Please join me on stage. This cutter's namesake was the first chief journalist of the U.S. Coast Guard, the first African American to reach the rank of Chief Petty Officer, and the Pulitzer Prize-winning author of Roots, the Saga of an American Family. He served in the Coast Guard for 20 years and wrote portions of Roots while sailing as a guest aboard the mighty Bark Eagle. You may open your assignments. And now for our next assignment. First Class Peppard, First Class Glander, and First Class Fenn. Please join me on stage. This cutter's motto is Courage, Justice, Compassion. Built in Newport, Rhode Island, and commissioned in 1988, this is the third ship to bear its name. Following the September 11 attacks, this cutter was the first major military asset on scene, taking charge of over 30 Coast Guard cutters. You may open your assignment. And now for our next assignment, First Class Crystal Kim, First Class Harlan Brady, First Class Me, First Class Fote, and First Class Poland. Please join me on stage. This cutter's motto is a legacy of bravery in reference to its long line of family members having courageously served in the Coast Guard and its predecessor branches. Commissioned in 2019, she is the 8th in her class and seized nearly 6,000 pounds of cocaine on her maiden voyage after interdicting 2 low-profile vessels. You may open your assignments. And now for our next assignment, First Class Stephanician, First Class Lane, First Class Farlow, and First Class Garrigus. Please join me on stage. This cutter's official motto is none better. She was commissioned in September 1968 after construction in Lorain, Ohio, and has since been homeported on both coasts, but has called her current home port, also known as the Sunshine City Home, for the past 20 years. During recent patrols, she interdicted both Haitian sail freighters and Cuban chugs. You may open your assignments. And now for our next assignment, First Class Bass, First Class Zip, First Class Unangst, First Class Bago, and First Class Cho. Please join me on stage. This cutter's motto, we can't afford not to. This cutter is named after the first woman to be accepted into the Women's Reserve, who coined the name SPAR, Semper Paratus, Always Ready. Michelle Obama was present for the commissioning ceremony, making her the first First Lady to sponsor a Coast Guard cutter. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Mathis and First Class Maximos Brady. Please join me on stage. This cutter's official motto is deeds, not words. Named after the first steam-powered cutter in the Revenue Cutter Service, this cutter was commissioned in August of 1990. During her most recent 77-day patrol off the Windward Pass, she interdicted and rescued migrants from Cuba, Haiti, and responded to a major oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Joshua Hudson and First Class Wade. Please join me on stage. Named after mother of a Trojan War hero, Achilles, she is affectionately referred to as Mother by the crew. This cutter's motto is improvise, adapt, and overcome. She recently returned home after 2 successful counter-narcotic patrols, interdicting over 12,000 pounds of drugs and 4 detainees in the Eastern Pacific and Central Caribbean. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Norman, First Class Davis Morin, First Class Oaks, First Class Kalfas, First Class Dreher, and First Class Rumpf. Please join me on stage. This cutter's official motto is lead, train, and save. This cutter's unofficial motto is the Hawaiian Sea voyaging proverb, wield the paddles together, work together. During her most recent Alaska patrol, she acted as the on-scene commander during the devastating Maui wildfires. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment. First Class Kotzen, First Class Loomis, First Class Drake Duval, and First Class Barbie. Please join me on stage. One of these cutters recently shifted home ports in 2021 and has also altered their patrol scenery from palm trees and beaches to beautiful mountains and Alaskan marine wildlife. Filling the role of the Aleutian Keeper for her predecessor, she is responsible for serving aids to navigation. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Takini, First Class Holmstrup, and First Class Noah Green. Please join me on stage. This cutter's official motto is tradition, pride, and readiness. Its unofficial motto is Sinbad lives, in reference to the Tog Chief Sinbad, who lived with the crew of the previous cutter during World War II. She was commissioned in August of 1988 after construction in Middletown, Rhode Island, making her the 9th cutter of her class. You may open your assignments. Whoa. Is everyone okay? Yeah. Now for our next assignment. First Class Radka, First Class Francis Wood, First Class Sick and Dick, and First Class Arpino. Please join me on stage. This cutter's motto is fame through good deeds. She was commissioned in December 1966 and over the decades has held several home ports around the U.S. and is currently living out the rest of her days in sunny Florida. After 57 years of service, she is still at the forefront of Coast Guard maritime law enforcement. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Chloe Hudson, First Class Raymond, First Class Sass, and First Class Carpenter. Please join me on stage. Named after the 15th U.S. Treasury Secretary and the 5th Coast Guard cutter to bear its name, this cutter's predecessors carried out various missions in support of the war with Mexico, the Civil War, Prohibition, and the U.S. Lighthouse Service. You may open your assignments. Now for our next assignment, First Class Yacovone, First Class Gonzalez, and First Class Ingersoll. Please join me on stage. This cutter's official motto is strength, endurance, and service. Its unofficial motto is second to none. This cutter's namesake is the Coast Guard's longest-serving commandant, who integrated the lighthouse service into the Coast Guard and created the Coast Guard Reserve. He also served throughout World War II as the Commandant and was the first to attain the rank of Admiral. You may open your assignments. And now, for our last assignment, I hope, First Class Samples, First Class Smiggle, First Class Wood, First Class Toby, and First Class Fatula. Please join me on stage. These cutters patrol the Gulf of Mexico with a primary mission of supporting the nation's illegal, unreported, and unregulated fishing strategic plan through detecting and interdicting Mexican fishing vessels illegally fishing in the U.S. EEZ. One cutter lives up to her motto of gallantry in action and has been instrumental on the maritime boundary line, preventing fisheries. You may open your assignments. I know. Congrats, guys. Congrats. All right, congratulations, class of 2024. Thanks, sir. All right, we're almost done. So congrats on this astounding milestone in your careers. Before I turn this over to Lieutenant Kramer, I really do want to thank all of those who put this together to make this such a great night for you. Our team over in Nautical Science and our co-conspirators from the class of 2024. Thanks again to the Academy, our alumni, and members of the fleet, faculty, staff, coaches, and guests, and all of you watching online and the great class of 1974. These are all great billets. We look forward to seeing you out in the fleet, and best of luck. Congrats, 2024.
All right. Thank you, Captain Rozzy Oaks, for presenting all those terrific assignments. The class of 2024 would like to formally thank you for your participation along with our billet presenters. I'd now like to invite 2024's class president, First Class Amanda Nasty, to join me on stage.
On behalf of the entire class of 2024, I would like to thank the Academy faculty and staff and all of the unit representatives on celebrating with us tonight. To our Link in the Chain class of 2024 representatives, thank you for being with us as our link in the chain. On behalf of 2024, I'd like to present gifts to our MC, Captain Rozzy Oaks, and to all our billet presenters. Thank you.
Job.
Congrats.
On behalf of the Superintendent, Rear Admiral Johnston, thank you for joining us in celebrating the class of 2024's Billet Night. Social hour will commence until 2200 in Leamy Ballroom. Rear Admiral Johnston has granted leave at will. Thank you all and have a great night.